It's late tonight and I'm out the back. So I will put me on screen at the moment, but I'm doing things that can't be seen on YouTube. So we're trying to have the ethics and morals associated to it, but at the same time, I wanted to have a bit of a chat about something I looked at. It's really funny, especially with Saturn in the position of Aries. It's the responsibility, it's the structure, it's looking at the caution, rules, and so, social media is one of those paradigms where we directly do need to be extremely careful. We're definitely in that perception and perspective at the moment with Aries of what's real and what's not. We're definitely going to have some breakthroughs, but there has been something that I stumbled across tonight, which in threads I noticed that Jesse Jackson passed away. And number one, RIP. Number two, how is that relevant in the here and now? The ironic thing is, I came across a speech and it was the I am speech, thus the heading of this actual update. And the ironic thing with Aries is that it is about you. It's about you as a person, you as an individual, and the Aquarian energy can be to do with your belief systems. We've got Pluto there at the moment, so we're looking at the paradigms and the things that can come up with the placement of Aquarius. And a couple of things can be humanitarian. We can look to Aquarius as a humanitarian. We can look to Aquarius as a person that is believing something and, kind of going out there and spreading that word and standing for something. And there was an astrologer who was on a live, this was about 6 months ago, and they were discussing the positions of Pluto in Aquarius and, what those things could be. And, I think it was when we first had the ingress and we had a major event happen with Pluto in Aquarius, and it was a fellow YouTuber ended up being in the media, and we won't get into it because that's not really the context, but the frequency of that subject matter and the placements at that point in time did put astrology on the map. And so that had come up. So there was a potential that with Pluto and Aquarius, there can be changes to do with astrology. It could be, finding a planet. It might be the way we share, the way we connect with each other, because the Aquarian energy can be groups of people. It can be your friendships, your alliances, your belief systems, the groups, feeling like you need to actually start working together, which is definitely that Aquarius energy. And with the element of Jesse J coming into the picture, connected to the here and now with the astrology, the interesting thing is one of the speeches that I came across, was really the subject matter that we do see happening in the collective. And, it's almost like we have come full circle and we are directly looking at these subjects. And I was discussing this with the members. And I was saying the interesting thing is, it's a bit like you could look at Saturn as the parent and you could look at Aries as the child. And we have this face off between those two things. So it can be hierarchy systems, belief systems, and what they think they need to do. And we can deem Saturn in its detriment in the place of Aries, in the placement of Aries. Although I do think in some ways we can actually use it in a very positive way. Now, with this position, what we are actually finding is we're going to be having a conjunction. So we have been looking to the stars, looking to the media for waiting and seeing what is actually going to play out with it. And I think it was last night I ended up doing a live and we were talking about, morning Dale, we were talking about some of the transits, and I really didn't want to leave you guys, without having any of the updates. And I did talk about that 29-degree point of, the placements of Pisces really moving out of that position, and they're the critical degree point. And because it is over the 12th house, what is hidden will be exposed. So I did say that a lot of cold cases will be solved. I did say a lot of people would be transcending over. And definitely with the further astrology, I also reference the fact that we will have particular celebrities of some description being in the media for good and bad reasons. We could actually have children really speaking up, I would say, further into the year, into next year, so they can be aspected quite heavy. But at the moment, in the current astrology, it was really the first 4 months that are really setting up a signature, but also simultaneously ending chapters in particular areas. And so there can be this emotional connection to it. I was talking to True Heart earlier today, and we were talking about a beautiful astrologer and the highest respect and regard to him. And I'll reference it under the link, and I'll actually place in the video that he made. And he spoke with such, I think the reason I value this individual is because there's a responsibility in a setting of how we're sharing information, because we are trying to bridge that gap and connect with individuals. And so when you do look at placements in astrology, you know, uh, being that it's Aries and this new world that we're going to be actually building from this year moving forward, because this is the building cycle. At the moment, it can't really feel like that, generally because the nodes still are in Pisces, but we are simultaneously having radical events that are occurring in our own personal lives that are actually ushering us into be the most authentic version of ourselves. And so we can really be feeling at the moment that we're having an existential crisis, and it's like things are happening to us, but at the same time, are they actually happening for us? Sometimes, if we were to choose how those things were to be, it may be that we would have delayed another few years. Sometimes things just happen, so you have to really flow with that. And when you have squares, they're the most difficult aspects. When you have conjunction points, they're things that are really in your face. Oppositions are like you're on two different pages, and quincunxes are like you got to choose left or right. So each zodiac sign will be getting a particular aspect. Now, this astrologer I'm referencing, I will place him, like I said, in the box below. And one of the reference points was how the vibration of these placements will come up for individuals. So you can have some people where they're like, gun ho, let's go for it, let's battle this out. You can have other frequencies coming through in the collective, which we see the monks, and they're actually, walking for peace. And when you look at Mother Nature, it holds all of those experiences. So, within our ego, we could look at it and say, no, that's wrong, this is right. And in the context of it, it's like what happens in the world. We have so many different type of people that actually bring that circumstance together, and that, it's shades of grey. That's what I would say. So the shades of grey in the energy. I think sometimes the hard part is, and this is something I directly have experienced in the perspective of what I see happening, globally, and especially from a parenting experience, you kind of look in, it might be that your kids aren't getting on, and you're trying to get them to work together, and you could be negotiating a deal with this, with a situation, or having a customer that's angry and you're trying to diffuse the situation. The thing is, it is that art of communication. It's also the understanding of another person's perspective. It's actually getting into their headspace. And I think sometimes when we're upset about something, what we do tend to do is we are too close. We're too close to that painting. And so, it can be challenging at the moment with things that you guys are going through. It might be with that Aries and that Saturn that we each do have things going on. And there was definitely a perspective that we could project onto others, some of our BS, because we were feeling very passionate about things. And I think sometimes it's not that a feeling, an emotion, and what you have isn't relevant. It's about honouring that and acknowledging it, and then waiting till you're in a more grounded state that you can go back to that painting and you can actually gain some sense of perspective. And that's actually when you can be more productive with it. So these are intense times. So for some, the biggest frustration, and it was some experiences I'd had in Europe many moons ago, we had my father, God rest his soul, he's passed on now. I came from a very multicultural family, and I think this can be a time where people that are, in that situation, they're kind of looking in and going, well, heck, what do I do? I've got this or that culture. What do I do with that? Where would I put that on the planet? And, that's a real question. That's something real that we can actually be looking at. And I think it does take courage and to hold space and to actually just honour the fact that you are you. You were put on this planet for a reason. And, this speech that I came across from Jesse Jackson did actually bring me to tears because it does actually represent a hurt person's feelings. And I'm not saying that this person was hurt, it's more the reference of the hurt world we live in right now. I think we do need to understand where we came from, and I think the past is incredibly important. In a sense, the past, due to the fact that if we pretend it never happened, we can't ever repair the damage. And so, regardless of whether our vibration is, look, we just need to move forward. Sometimes you can't sweep things under the carpet, and they do actually need to be discussed. And I think in that maturity, and it can take many people to be in that vibration of not saying, hey, the whole world's hunky-dory. We can't go to one extreme where it's like, okay, chuck up walls, and then to the other extreme and then say, hey, let's just sing Kumbaya together, because it's a real world. So all of those polarities directly exist, and this is, a base level. I won't put words in this person's mouth. I will actually share the video so you can see the astrologer's interpretation of it, which was the yin to the yang. There's dark, there's light, there are all things. And that is being the I individual. It is being in the real world of what is. And, it's difficult to be in that world, but it's a little bit like never putting spice on your food. What we have achieved in the world to this date, if you look back to the 1700s to where we are, in most and I don't even know if we can call it modern these days, because it does feel like we have gone a little bit backwards, but you can actually go to a food hall and have cuisine from all over the world. You do have a neighbour that is, brings something to the table. So there's beauty in that, and that's something I hope to spiritually hold that in my heart and give that to my grandbabies and my great grandbabies, and let them have that world. So the I am, and I will share that video too under here so that you guys can go and look at it. This speech really signifies that Aries position. And so Saturn can be this feeling vibrationally of what can you do. Saturn also in your birth chart at the moment where it's going to be transiting. So you'd look in your birth chart, you look to the houses, you can go on astroseek.com and you put your birth chart in, and it's going to show you where Aries is for you. And you can count 1 through to 12. Sometimes it can be overlapping. Look at the degree point, because that'll tell you roughly when something quite active is going to pop off you. But regardless, you will have that placement. Now, if we were to look at just the vibration of Neptune and Saturn sitting in Aries, it is you being your own person. It's your preferences, your food styles, it's how you look, it's what you feel, it's your hopes, your dreams, what you want to achieve. It can be sometimes feeling very misunderstood, and that you're absolutely hella fed up of it, and you're like, why are people sassing me? Why are people disrespecting me? Some of the challenges I've actually had with the position of Saturn and Pisces and Neptune and Pisces have been extremely difficult, but I can actually say in certain circumstances, I directly forced myself very cognitively to endure some very toxic situations. And moving through those circumstances, I can say it has, I feel, psychologically prepared me for And Pisces is in the 12th house, very psychological. So, think about the things that you went through in that energy of Pisces. Mercury will retrograde there. Psychologically, spiritually, feeling like, there was a lot of endings that we've been going through. So probably from 2020 to this point, we've had so many transitions of planets, retrogrades galore. I think the year previous, moving into 2024, into 2025, it literally felt like a hangover, and that is because we had planets that give us vitality. They directly were in retrograde. We had Venus, we had Mars, we had planets ingress. So, it was the most unproductive year, but you would have felt like you had, climbed Mount Everest. It really felt that way. And so, yes, psychologically coming into this year, with everything that's happening, you directly can be feeling, well, nothing's going to change, but the signature of the astrology is going to change, and this is going to be for the long term. So at the 0 degrees, I believe it's on the 20th, we are having the conjunction point, and it's gonna it could be a subject matter that happens, but this individual transcending over is the epitome of this vibration when you listen to the speech, because the I am is Aries. And so listen to it through your individual airs. Look at how far we've come, how far we need to come, and also the courage, because the astrologer I referenced that was talking about what do you think can come through with Aquarius, I referenced this individual integrity and, ethics and morals. And, they sort of loosely were like, oh, really? And I was like, we all have integrity. And I was like, no, we really don't. And I don't mean people in general are human. The ethics, the morals, the accountability is, it's Aries. It's I have a position. What do I believe in? Do I stand for anything? Is by not saying something, not having courage, because it's Aries. So listening to it, it was almost like a chant, a prayer, an affirmation, Pisces, Neptune. And in the statement, it was almost healing the cognitive psyche for the individuals in stating, get this into your head, you are you. In all your warts and all, you are you, and that's okay. And I think collectively, I think we're healing the I am identity. And so, when we are kids in a schoolyard bickering over things, whose toy it is, etc., example, we can and we are going to see at times people that are very harsh, or it can be people that are very spiritual. It takes all sorts. That's what I'm saying. But I'll definitely share that. So how have you guys actually been traveling after the eclipse? Have you had anything major pop? I had a lot of shit popping off. Good to hear. The stream is about the current energy that we're moving through to give some sense of context to it. And how, and you'll directly find, be it you're spiritual or whoever you are, what you can find is, most of us in the world will believe in something. So some people believe in signs and synchronicities and have witnessed them. Some people believe in different things, right? And so what I have come to find is you will find, a lot of people have been looking into The Simpsons, for instance, and, I have actually pulled the chart for it to have a look, and I'm like, one of those in there is pretty intuitive, whoever the writer was. But in it, you will find when you're wanting to know the signature of what the energy is of that month and moving into the next, music that comes out, movies that come out are the signifier. Okay? You know, in the old days, I used to really get rid of trolls, but they help with the algorithm, so we should leave them there, right? The good old days. One way or another. Ah. So, how are you, Dawn? You're right. You know, I remember the first time I got on YouTube, which was a share accident, kind of fell on it. And I remember saying to my daughter, oh, there are these trolls on there. And she's like, Mum, you need to harden up. The good thing is, guys, we have had Chiron and Aries, and I believe in you. And you need to believe in yourself because Chiron has been there for a long time. It's always got more work in that area. Which is kind of unfair because Saturn gets off pretty scot-free. It's only there for 2.5, but we're going to be very grateful when it goes. But it also can help us actually structure some of the things that we want to achieve. You know, it's what song could I think of in the context of this, depending on where the position is in your chart. In the 6th house, Brittany, you want a hot body? You better, yeah, that's Saturn and Neptune and Aries. What other placement? The 1st house. Rita Ora, the old me's dead and gone. 2nd house. This is a good one. Rihanna. Why am I picking all the ones that have swear words in them? Beat Better Have My Money. Yep, that's the 2nd house. So you're going to be working, structuring, getting that done. You're going to have to be careful with your kind of, you know, don't be too impulsive with your spending structure. Saturn's going to be there to help you. But it also can kind of help you tap into some resources, create some resources. You becoming your resource. You actually sharing your resources. Intellectually, it could be, and actually gaining money through it. Where does everyone have Aries? 3rd house? Yeah, I'm still thinking about that. That can be a good one. It can be writer, blogger, journalist, speaker, public speaker, subjects to do with siblings. You could be working with a sibling to achieve something. Subjects to do with your car. Mercury. Could be eating, changes to your eating, changes to your teeth. Contracts, technically, maybe. Yeah, writing a book, creating a website. 4th house, home. Very organised. Home-based businesses. Your body, falling pregnant. Although there could be a restriction, what you do find is, especially for those of you that maybe were wanting children and, you know, you were trying, Jupiter A is retrograde at the moment. I do think when we have Jupiter move into Leo, we can have a lot of births. We can have movement with children and more children being born around that time. But we could have breakthroughs with IVF, for instance, as a possibility. We also, those that maybe have the Virgo and Pisces placements, if you guys were actually trying, you may find after we have the nodes move, that window will open for you. So, you know, sometimes it kind of limits it for a bit. It can hold it back, and then other times it can open that gate for it, and it can kind of help you get to the root cause of things, structure things around. Stress levels also can directly cause it, especially with those positions. So they've moved now. It's moved into Aries. So, anyway, do share what's been happening. I can't be here too long tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions for you. But definitely I will actually share that video. So the person, Jesse Jackson passing was an individual that had their belief systems really had a cause. Could we call it activist? Humanitarian. call it what you will, has transcended over, found the speech, directly has correlating links to Aries, being, you as an identity that you have, you are allowed to be respected, you are allowed to be yourself. And it's honoring that inside yourself. We might find restricted in that. But again, like I said, Neptune is going to be there far longer than Saturn. So the benefits are, if it is restrictive, it more than likely will be for a short time, 2 years approximately. Questions? No? I'm actually surprised it's working out here. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention last night when I was actually doing the update, because it was vague as heck, is that we can have, and I did mention this in the members, and I have mentioned this maybe in some blog posts and some videos, is that where the eclipse point actually went over, where the visibility was, I did say the areas that directly could be linked was, I think I mentioned Africa, New Zealand, Australia. So although we might not have seen big things yet, we could see them. And again, within 6 months, we definitely can see more. So stay tuned for that. But what can Aquarius be? Aquarius directly can link to people. It could be astrological subjects. It might be space. It might be something that's hidden. It could be vibrations of people and groups. It can be weather events, earthquakes, volcanoes. We definitely can have weather disruptions, especially because what you do tend to have is you have eclipses back to back. So we've basically had the introduction of it, and it's very Uranian energy. So it's almost like things can pop off for you suddenly, and it's like, where the heck did that come from? And then we're going over to, and it's going to be the future North Node. And then next month, pretty much by the 3rd, we're going into the Virgo eclipse. And that's a lunar eclipse to my belief. And then the moon in Pisces, which is the current North Node at the moment. During that eclipse, it is a Mercury energy. Mercury will be retrograde. And it's almost like Mercury is the North Node, theoretically, and Virgo is the South Node. And technically speaking, there is going to be a transition and change, and both of them to a degree. When you're looking at the South Node, it's not so much about an ending, but a transformation. It's where things have become stagnant. And so being in Virgo, we really did see a lot of people, maybe that were bookkeepers or could have been government workers, they were laid off. Virgo can be, could be nurses. So it could be, we actually, I believe what I have listened to, you'd have to go and look at it yourself. There was a strike, I believe, and it was nurses on strike. So that's the Virgo energy. It was midwives. And so Jupiter in retrograde was having that come up in the media. So, sometimes you can directly see the signature points of how the things can play out. But the fact that that is a Mercury eclipse, and Mercury will be retrograde in Pisces, North Node, South Node, it's going to be very amplified. We'll have to look at the aspects closer and we'll do some updates. But, it's your wellness, it's your banking, it's your budget. I mentioned for a lot of people on the wealth factor at the moment, because we do have Jupiter retrograde, it's almost like it slows down to that expansion, that growth. We can also see that in the housing market. It's sort of like, it looks like it's gone away, but as it moves direct, there can be a glow up, but there also can be something else that could happen temporarily, and then it can ease out. But again, it is going to transition out of that sign further in, where it's going to ingress into Leo, bringing new subject matters. So be it you directly are looking at the stock market and you're going, what the heck is going on here? About the 11th, I believe it's going to go station, so that would be a risky day. But I would I would try and wait. Again, that is not financial advice. You'd have to seek a financial advisor for that. But watch the cycles. The cycles actually will directly show it, especially if you're wanting to look for a job at the moment. Mid-Mercury retrograde is a great time to chuck your resumes out. If you can now get them done and you can prepare them so that you want to put them out, you can hear back from jobs. Is it great for signing contracts? Probably not. This is a very intense time. Until we get to about April, life isn't going to be completely clear, really, for anyone. So, what you might find is if you have to, you have to. And, that is the Aries energy. It's like, I have to, I've got to jump on something, I've got to deal with the circumstance. But what you can find in a retrograde is if you send your resumes out and you're hunting for those jobs, what happens is once it starts going direct, you just have a flood wave of opportunities coming towards you. So it's actually going to quadruple that, especially with Jupiter and Cancer. It's really going to spread it as it moves forward to the 11th. So I would try and do it before and then wait, keep your options open, look at those things if you need to. And again, we're really moving into our resourcefulness at the moment. When you look at Pluto, we tend to look at something that's like Pluto, it's death. It's the taboo subjects. It's in Aquarius, but it's also something that somebody could cast out and go, this is crap, I don't need it. But then what's the organic matter in your garden? It's Pluto in nature. So you within yourself can be that actual resource. You may be underestimating your resourcefulness, your ability to transform in a very sudden, quick way, to find things and find different ways to achieve it. We just have to be aware that when the trigger point's there, you're not going to make rational decisions. So, in the shadow, and especially during an eclipse, the energy of particular zodiac signs can feel a little bit more anxious during the eclipses, and that is definitely maybe the individuals that are in that lunation, but generally speaking, it is Leo and Cancer. And waiting till after the fact, it eases up, it calms down, and then you can get back to basics. But the crazy thing is, because the lunations and the eclipses do happen quite close, and they do kind of set the tone for 6 to 12 months, where the signature is something we'll directly be working on and with for a year. Some of you might have already started new chapters. So noisy. So those new chapters, especially if you do operate in that Aries and Saturn with Neptune energy, and you're like, right, I'm planting the seed, I'm taking steps, I'm going to detach from the time frame, I'm just going to pour my energy into it. You squares are shape building, okay? It's like a diamond. So you're polishing it off, you're believing in yourself, you're moving towards it, you're addressing it. Anything that comes up in your mind that's an excuse, you're probably, if you give it 5, going to realize more than likely you're going to talk yourself back into it. You're going to be like, get over yourself, get back to it. We need to do this. This can be even for the fitness factor. For a lot of us this year, it won't be the element of vanity, it'll be the element of strength and individuality. So, people maybe that run gyms can do quite well. People that are into fitness or individuality and are turning up quite authentic can do quite well. Entrepreneurs, a lot of people, maybe out of being forced to, are going to look at side hustles, or it could be, maybe being put in a circumstance and jumping in the deep end and going, you know what, I'm just going to throw myself into a dream situation, or building something, or taking a hobby to the next level. And that is actually shown in the actual aspects of the astrology. Again, it would depend on the person, and their placements, if you know what I mean. No questions? Still no questions? Are we considering moving house? Are you considering looking at a relationship? You know, depending on the zodiac sign, Mercury retrograde on this occasion can bring some blasts from the really distant past back, because we do have certain positions in the place of Pisces at the critical degree point. So, you know, if you're needing to get to the root cause, sometimes it can even be with these eclipses that you cast something out and you're having a second round offer to actually do it in a different way. But it is going to be brand new. It can't be done the same way. You won't, with the South Node, be able to do it the same way. You just will not be able to. It's broken. It's stagnant. It's the water with the mosquitoes in it. And it's like, you know. So, yeah, you definitely will find that it's not, it goes away, it has to transform. Oh, lovely. So, what zodiacs can have that? Pisces and Virgo, you guys can be having things coming up. Where it comes to your relationships, your connections, your psychology, a lot of shadow work. Be easy with yourself at the moment. Dropped. Oh, probably because I'm out the back. What else? So yeah, Pisces and Virgo, you know, be gentle with yourself. If you think nothing good's going to come of it, trust me, you're going to be liberated. My mother has Pisces in her chart, and I was like, I said, you've been in hermit mode, you know, you might have felt quite isolated, like universe was out to get you and you were on this desert island all alone, and, you know, it was just you, and nobody cared. Because it does feel isolating. You know, it can put you in that 12th house of isolation. It can maybe get you to a point where sometimes you're just not caring for yourself, and you're needing to remind yourself to get into that habit of, you know, okay, go have a shower, brush your teeth, care for yourself, do the things that you need to do. Now, because the planet has moved, you know, for those individuals where that placement goes, it can almost be like, oh gosh, you know, I have this revelation of a dream I want, but that means I've got to leave the house. Yeah. You know, it's like there was a person I knew years ago, and they were in that Neptunian energy. And they were like, oh, I want to meet someone. But they would not leave the couch. And it's like in this day and age, you'd probably have a love affair, you know, via some site, and it's probably a bot. And they're making robots for that now, but, you know, I don't like cold. They'll heat it up, and no, yeah, no. I adore the imperfection of the human race. The challenge, the keeping you on your toes, the ups and downs, you know, that everything shapes us. It's all part of it. Liberation sounds good. I've been in hermit mode, but doing lots of self-care, just keeping to myself. Look, I would be careful towards the end of the month, because Mars is actually going to be in Aquarius for quite a while, and so we really need to be mindful of it. Now, if you use your Mars energy in a good way, you can be really productive in that area of building that circumstance, transforming that situation. So I'd really pour that energy into that, but I would be in your self-awareness in particular environments. So it could be in group settings. You need to have your P's and Q's about you, because Mars is there, and Mars can be a hero or it can be a villain. So it can be somebody that loses the plot, and you need to be in your self-awareness and cognitive of, be environmentally aware where you are, who's around. If somebody's sus, you know, you got to keep your tweets about you. Got to keep your tweets about you. As to liberation, you know, the challenge you're probably going to have, Dawn, is with Uranus moving into your zodiac sign later, you might find that You know, I remember as a child, my mum said I was always a dreamer, and I'd be skipping down the road, picking daisies, you know, in my little Martian planet mind, looking at things, and she'd go, "You're always away with the fairies." You know, Uranus and Gemini, you're gonna be like, "Oh, the daisy," and you're like, "No, let's go party. I just want to go to bed." So you're gonna have to be a bit like the South Node in Virgo when it first ingressed. I knew. I was editing the website and legitimately I got stuck. Has it gone off again? I can't see diddly. I legitimately on one day, it was a task I was trying to achieve in a very fast paced manner. And it was something really, really simple. It turned into something difficult. And I had about several tasks to achieve on that day. And it was the entire day. And I went, this is the Virgo energy. I went, hell no. I was like, no, mate. So it straight away reminded me that if I was going to operate effectively in this, I had to be very strict with myself in that Saturn and Pisces of going, okay, I went with the flow way too far. Those two signs were operating very poorly. And it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to need to be extremely cognitive of time management here. And because Saturn is the lord of time. And so, especially with Saturn and Aries, it's still the lord of time. You can feel like Penny Little, the sky's falling down. You got to get in, you got to get things done, but you're going to burn out. Especially in the retrogrades, it'll feel like a Mars retrograde, which is very fatiguing. So, under offer, over deliver. Keep your goal in mind. Don't be self-centered, you know, still have the balance of the Libra energy there because the shadow sign of Aries is Libra. You don't want to, you know, be narcissistic. You need to be creating boundaries maybe. You know, some of us, I was really looking at the positions when we had the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. I've got those particular positions in my chart, and I was like, you know, on this occasion, I think it could be more boundaries. It could be structure and routine and saying no to things and saying yes to things. So, you know, for Libra and Aries, it could be those subject matters. It could be, look, you know, this is my yes and this is my no. Yeah, but what? No, yeah, but no. Why? I don't really have to respond why. That's my answer. So it can be the firm boundary. Yes. Does that mean building walls? Like I said, all polarities are going to exist. They are, you know, because what is a boundary? It's a wall, but then does that, it's crazy. I could give too many analogies. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like, you know, in one way we can be creating boundaries, we can be cutting things off. That also can be like getting your nutrition right and going, this is no good for me no more. I don't want to do this anymore. We have had the most intense summer, although this is the first time in Perth, WA. Everywhere else in Australia got smashed with heat. And a lot of the astrology, when it has played out, it's really hit the other side very hard, although where the eclipse was and where it was visible from, I wouldn't be surprised if WA in Australia actually does have some major things going on, so... So what else has been happening for you, Dawn? Have you been plugging along at your business? Where do you have Aries? I saw a comment on the last video. I'll have to reach out to one of our followers. Ben, big shout out. I'll have to PM you. It has actually been good to chime in and actually connect with you guys. It has been a long time. It's been horrendous transits. I probably from 2017, I think I landed on YouTube the end of 16. It's been over 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years. I've been sitting with my head on hair for 10 years. And then I started putting my head behind the tarot. mainly from a I have so much going on point of view and being really practical. The changes I've been making behind the scenes have been based on some things that were really outdated and had to go. So that was the website. It was, tweaking the membership site. I have thought a bit more about the membership and how I'm structuring certain things. And one way I effectively could do it, because it still is being, I'm still adding things, and I have had a bit of time off work because I had an accident. So a lot of that has been at doctors and things to that degree. So I've been multitasking and trying to care for myself, which I am. So I'll get the news tomorrow. With the way I could potentially do it is open it based on where it is right now, and then with that growth I can have more time to build the last stage of it, which will be, I'm starting to add webinars and events, and I'm building the content to plug it in. I chime in pretty much every day and have a chat to the members. They're getting the pre-release content at the moment, apart from these 2 lives that I've done. So, after I move through these hurdles, there will be the lunation updates and the monthly predictions, and they will get maybe even their zodiac sign. And I do kind of really talk to them. Sometimes they flick their charts up. We have a discussion about what's going on with their charts and, where to work from it. I'm trying to create a room that there is going to be a coaching section that, for those of you that do want to run a business and learn how to do it, what the principles are, what you'd need, maybe even creating some templates, websites, etc., that I can actually create some of those resources for you guys, and then take on 10 individuals at a time and really coach you to the point you can get your situations off the ground where you need to be. So that is one thing I'm working on directly behind the scene. The other is the spiritual attribute of things, where I can give you the tools and resources, be it its transits, meditation, the self-awareness, educating those who want to work on their psychic gifts and how directly to develop it, your twin flame path, their centric wisdom and knowledge. So each subject is quite in depth, but really trying to get the templates ready so I can plug the energy in and share it directly inside. And I have created a section that I'll be hosting per room, because there is room based on subject matter. We have the chat room at the moment. We have the moderators room, so that if they need to discuss anything, we can have meetings in there. That was done in the last 2 months. We have a new section, a help desk, in case there's anything in the network you feel's off or you can't find something. We have a list of the members that are there, so if you find, you can set your own profile up, and you get the notifications, so you can add events to your own personal calendar. So within it at the moment, any events that are hosted at this point in time where the membership's at, they are included in the price. So if there's a coaching session, if there's once the meditation sessions are done, it'll be part of the package, so you'll be able to actually attend them. The other was going to be personal coaching, and that's you wanting to set a goal, work through situations with workbooks, etc. And again, I could take a number of clients on within there, and during that month actually have group sessions and one-on-one sessions. So that's kind of the direction I'm moving at the moment. That is, yes, going to be content on YouTube. Obviously, some of the areas that I'll be doing e-learning on, I'm hoping to actually give you some shorter versions at a base level, so you have an interpretation of the content, and then there could be a few shorts that I pull from it, which can actually generate, the people going, hey, that's the subject matter I'm actually interested in, I'd like to really see that. And then if you were then really wanting to dive into it, you could actually, go that next stage and go into the e-learning, which can end up being a separate thing altogether. But with the webinars, how I'm structuring it at the moment, and you're just going to have to give me 5 because it's a lot to do in a short space of time. How I'm going to be doing it is, once they start getting scheduled into the members, you are going to have two options. You can become a member and get that as a package, or you can constantly go purchase it separately on the website. So yes, you'll have the ability to go, oh, I'll have that, but inside the membership, you get to just automatically add that to your calendar, and you will get that webinar, you will get the e-learning, or whatever is included in that. So based on what it's offering right now, and I may put a poll up to ask, I do have the list at the moment via the website that you can sign up. You can put your name down for the next round opening. There is a potential I could open it and keep it at a simpler price that could secure you in by that time, and then once the rest of it is built, you could have that signature price there, similar to what the first level actually have got. And then you're eliminating the high cost of, when everything is completely there. So that is an option, and I'm happy to do that if that's something you guys are interested in while I'm building. But definitely we do have catch-ups. I do chime in. Individuals directly can message me if they're having personal conflict or they're having a challenge. So the coaching attribute of things can come in whenever they're needing it, truthfully speaking. And for those of you that do actually are in the membership, you can directly share anything, opinion you wish to share. You have to tolerate me. Not really. You guys are great. Anyway, so that is the hype. I have my strap on my ankle at the moment. I injured my ankle. A lot of feminines, if you guys are actually having injuries at the moment, tell me what side of the body you're getting it on. Very interesting. We're studying something at the moment to do with the yin to the yang, the masculine side of the body, the feminine, and where the imbalance is coming from. A lot of us are directly ending old karmic cycles. You don't actually realise it. It can be coming through in some weird, messed up way. But there is a closing out of an old cycle that has been blocking you from moving to the next chapter. The other thing I would say is what you can find is that people maybe that were in very toxic relationships are going to physically find that they're going to have more confidence with the nodes actually moving later with, and that's definitely going to be a liberating point. It can be a complete ending of a toxic relationship because we have already Pisces in the 12th house at the critical degree, so it can feel like, I always give the analogy of Shrek, but not in a bad way because they actually really loved each other, but it's more a bit like having a hangover, waking up, and you think you went to, you slept with this king or this queen, and you wake up and you're like, who the hell are you? Example. So you go from the Pisces energy over to the Aries and you're like, oh, now I see you. So it's like this exposure piece of seeing the truth, maybe not being stuck in this loop of a psychological entanglement. So those of you that follow the twin flame path, or you're connected to a person that's just been sitting on the fence, it can actually show a potential of a rapture point. So it's where things just go, nah, this isn't working. Right side, it's bruises, broken toes. Oh, well, I had this lady take blood. The bruise has actually gone down. And I was like, love, you did a good job. I actually had, in the last 3 months, a nurse actually nick my artery with an infusion. I was like, what the hell? They've just been butchering me, man. Like, seriously. So this is the bruise. That's not too bad, but I was actually surprised considering she wasn't bad. She didn't put pressure on it after, though. Amateur. Bruises, yeah. Bruise broke and toe last month. Oh, God, really? On the right toe. Interesting. Because I was actually saying to True Heart, injuries on the side of the body, which we're both aware of, and it was like, okay, right side of the body. hurt my ankle, and I was like, huh, interesting. So the right side of the body, being the masculine attribute of things, especially in a yin and yang, where you can be, say, in a spiritual connection with another person or just directly in your circumstance, it does state that you are struggling with an ability with moving what you want to achieve forward. Now, does it necessarily have to be due to you? No, it could be because of external circumstances and it's showing up in your body. So if the injury is on the left side, and it does dictate behind, in front, the point in your body. So some of the courses I'll be doing and some of the videos I'll be doing inside the membership is your chakra points. It's your left and right, your yin, your yang, the clearing of the chakras, how to actually work with them. When the astrology actually can hit those areas and really cause grief for you. So it can actually show a likelihood, especially for those of you that are empaths. The whole reason I started studying astrology is because I had the most horrendous ascension process and purging, and you even could call it almost depression. Okay, and I was like, and I'm generally not a negative person. I can get over things very, very quick. It's like I might have a brat attack, and then it's like I'll sit within it and I'm like, grow up, look at this properly. And it's maybe part of my birth chart. Regardless, because I was having such a difficult time, I was like, there's got to be something. I want to see a pattern. And the crazy thing was, Chiron was in Pisces, and the shadow sign to that was Virgo. So I went on a discovery journey to give that situation a lobotomy and actually match the chakras and look at the, how the lunations with the retrogrades and the directs would actually affect your biosystem. And there was a huge difference. I was able to actually tell when there were going to be spikes in the energy, dips where there was going to be depression or fatigue. And so I was able to navigate that more effectively. And so that is some of the, over the years, obviously it's become an education for me, more so. I have been psychic since I was a child, and I've had to work on that, not through choice, through, if I didn't work with it, I would just be seeing dead people next to my bed, and I just had to address it. So, these were times where those subjects were quite taboo. You will find children at the moment can be incredibly psychic. And, there's even ways that you need to position. If you have an empath child, as parents or a grandchild or something like that, and they're having a lot of night terrors, what you don't want to do is face their feet towards an open door, a window that is at feet level, an open cupboard, or a mirror. No shiny objects reflecting towards the bed. And you can find, if you can clear that room, with whatever. It could be an incense stick, open the windows, clear the energy out. You can ask anything heavy to remove itself. And just clear it, basically. Clean the windows off, clean the mirror. Don't stare into it. Like, don't go daydreaming into it. Not good chi. You can actually scry, and if it's not clean, there can be attachments. The other thing is, under the bed. It's like, really putting things under the bed to block that energy. And that can help. So, yeah, basically those circumstances do directly impact you. And by knowing, initially you might really go down the rabbit hole and go, I need a crystal, or I need this, or I need that. And yes, with the certain positions, it does come about where for a while it will work. But then after that, you'll find they won't. And it's because you are required and needing to, within your birth chart, within your life cycle, within your evolution, to upgrade to a point where you're whole. It's a bit like when we're going through each point in our birth chart. It's almost like there could be damage in that area, and it's going through an evolution. It's going through a healing stage. And those particular areas can bring attachment energy, like attachment, detachment, purging, etc. and they need support. But once you reach a certain pinnacle, it's like it almost feels like you're on your own, but you have that energy kind of down packed because you're moving through those things. Yeah. Yeah, so the good thing is maybe how to balance it is to know you can, to know it might be a delay, and to look at the deeper psychological reason why. Is it an external person? Is it your fear that, and I think it's more than likely because of the Pisces placement, and now it's moved into Aries, and now it's sort of like, there was a lot of Saturn can relate to teeth and bones. So there was when I did go to the hospital to actually check it. There was literally 6 females in there with the same injury. I was like, no, no, not really. I'll have to look at the moon, where the moon was that day. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Pisces. And yeah, sure enough, 6 people, some with fractures, some with broken bones. And I was there I was there over 7 hours. Over 7 hours. So are we ready for the year of the horse, the fire horse? Oh, my puppy wants to go to bed. I will have to love you and leave you because I do need to get up early. I have an appointment tomorrow for my results to see if I've torn a ligament or ligaments. So much fun. I swear I'm in Jurassic Park. We have a possum that goes through the trees, and are they nurturing? I don't know. I've actually seen it boot its child out of the tree, the possum, and argue with its baby because it's been a bit needy, but it literally sounds like a dinosaur. You know what's funny? I don't even feel connected to Twin anymore. Don't care. See him, hear from him. That's okay. Cosmic journey. You needed my voice reason. I remember, who was it? I think it was Giggle. She used to go, oh, I fell asleep when I listened to your voice. I had so many people tell me that. And I had to sit with it. I was like, how do I take this? Am I boring? And then I was like, look, if it's nurturing, I hope it helps. It's like, she's here. It's going to be okay. I think I actually put that audio track into the members. I was during the eclipse, just before I came live on YouTube, I did give the members, some ways things were happening, and I was like thinking about a circumstance I was going through on the day, which was quite a triggering experience, and I had my own personal things going on. And I was like, oh gosh. And then, communicating with the members, and then getting the context of sometimes with this eclipse, it is our nervous system. And I was like, I just need to tell you guys, it is going to be okay. It is going to be okay. And I don't know if that helped, but it's true. We all need to hear that. Based on some of the positions, we can really achieve a lot. And I think we need to believe in ourselves. Timing of things sometimes is we're going to feel a lot clearer by the time Mercury goes, direct. But also what I want you to do is whatever you have received in a sense of a message or a circumstance, don't stick your head in the sand, okay? If you have a notion, if you have a hunch, if you have a feeling that you're meant to do something and you need to do something, I want you to take steps this year. because by the time we do have the nodes move, you do need to be ready. So be it's you're preparing something, you're achieving something, you're setting a goal or a target, or your intuition is guiding you to become more resourceful, you need to trust your instincts. Because whatever and however it directly is showing up for you, that is going to be part of your PDF. This would probably be one of the years I would definitely recommend either pulling your birth chart, understanding where it's happening and what's happening so you can actually get on your A game, or go to any one of your choice of reader and actually get it written for you. Get the PDF so you can actually get ready for it. So regardless, you know, it's going to be a very big reset, because every planet by this year will be in position sitting there for a while. Okay, so if I hear you say it never changes, Yildiz, I actually said I think there is a individual on YouTube, Molly McCord. I'll have to go and visit her channel again and see what she says about the twin flame path she has moved down, I believe. Don't quote me. What I see, I'll go reference and see what she says. But from my belief in that vibration, we needed to get out of the House of Pisces for the movement in the collective of the joint connection. Now, generally speaking, for those of you more that are on that spiritual path, what you will find is you'll tend to know when reunion or union is coming, because you feel very human, like it never ever happened, like it was a figment of your imagination. But you also simultaneously in your consciousness know, like Dana Scully and Mulder in the X-Files, is that actually both were real. Okay? Some very unusual experiences, some telepathy, some signs and synchronicities. But you also come down to the human healing stage of being realistic, of yeses and nos, and I can and I can't, and I have needs too. And that's okay. That's where you're meant to get, because that means you come full circle with the healing. Now, the other circle of healing is actually going into a relationship. And, you know, I will say, it can be interesting with Saturn and Neptune and Aries, because it's independent, and that is part of being in that path, is being, you are the connection, you feel empty when you're away, but when you come full circle, you feel whole within your masculine and feminine. You know, especially if we're having a pain body experience, which I'm going to take this advice myself, I'm going to go and write down the chart that I have been preaching about for 10 years on YouTube. Whenever we have some ego and belief about what the other person is doing and what we are salty at them about, especially because if you're having a pain body experience on the masculine side of your body, you write down what you feel they need to get their crap together with. Projection is the reflection. And then go, why am I so angry? And I can guarantee you are going to see on your side of the fence, you are so hella pissed at yourself for something in your life, are feeling trapped in a circumstance that you feel you're going in circles with, and you're being disabled to a degree where universe is against you or something's going wrong. And so there's 101 Dalmatian excuses. There's also the true vibration of frustration of the external circumstance. And then you realize you're just going to take a leap of faith. So go and do some research. Go and see what you find. Do it tonight, do it tomorrow. I can guarantee you're going to have a revelation of where it is, and I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I'll share my findings on the Members Hub. I'll share my personal findings of what I find, where it is showing up for me. Why I feel like a victim. I have been in a lot of masculine energy lately through hunter-gatherer and having to be, quite frankly. One thing I did realise is I have been doing way too much. Way too much. You know, I'm just little old me. And I mean in general, in life, with lots of things. And I think a lot of us collectively are just going, you know what, we need balance. And so it's just rewriting the story, looking at what's going to work, looking at what's going to fit, tweaking some things, changing things about, where you can find you have that time for sense of self, you have that time for self-care. It can also be self-care where you're looking in the mirror and go, hell no, what are you, where did you go? Who are you? Okay, so self-care, self-love. I'll share the video, okay? I'll share the 2 videos. I'll put it directly under this after, and it's a speech that he made about I am. I literally, when I listened to it, knowing the astrology, I was like, I cried for humanity. It was like, I understand you, I hear you. You are important, no matter who you are, where you are, what you believe, you are important.